I'm sitting back down here to continue to talk through what I'm thinking right now. I'm on the cusp of messaging my manager to tell her that I need to discuss this with her, to tell her that I want to quit. The realities of my situation: I took a job in November of 2019, thinking that I wanted to move to New York City and I wanted to be in finance. This was before the coronavirus pandemic. It's also before I got surgery on my hip, which was a major change in my life. Fast forward into the spring, I got surgery on my hip. I was exploring new avenues such as e-commerce and marketing. And the coronavirus pandemic came and really changed a lot of the ways that I see the world personally, and I think for a lot of people the same thing. But truthfully, I got to the spring, a lot had changed, and my opinions on the job that I had agreed to had changed as well. It was no longer what I wanted, and I had some serious doubt. The things that kept me afloat with that idea, or kept me pushing towards it, was the status, the money, the security, and the access to healthcare, which because of my hip surgery, I really needed. So even though through the spring and into the summer, finance in New York City was about as far away from the direction I wanted to head, I felt like I had to keep going in that direction. Through summer, I was traveling in my car all over the states. I met amazing people. I had great ideas for new businesses, one of which I'm still pursuing today, Wanderest. But ultimately, I had to start my job August 3rd. At first, I moved into a camper in downtown Boulder. I was living in this camper for 2 months. And then I moved into the house that I'm living in today. But I'm not in New York City. I'm working remote, very far removed from this company, very far removed from this job. And I've been having an increasingly hard time finding any sort of energy or gumption to put into it. I cannot attach myself to a motivation. Now, is that just because of the coronavirus situation? Is that some other internal factor with me and how I'm feeling? Is it just that I've become lazy? Or is it because I really don't like what I'm doing and it's time to make a change? One thing I know for sure is from the very first day of this job, I knew I made a mistake. We were doing orientation, and every conversation I had with the kids around me, every conversation I had with the kids in this orientation program, I knew I did not belong there, or at least I wasn't meant to be there. On top of that, I had just come from an exciting summer, exploring new possibilities, and this was the starkest contrast I think I could have ever imagined. So that gives credence to the idea that I'm just not meant to be in this job. I think a ton of people feel that way, but it is very hard to delineate that from what's wrong with me. Why am I not performing in this job? Either way, don't think it's right for me. Now, the second thing that it comes down to for me is the amount of time that I've put in. I've worked for 6 months, literally 2 days away from working there for 6 exact months. My contract is for 1 year. It's kind of like glass half full, glass half empty. On one hand, I made it halfway through. That's 50%. Some people might say that's a lot longer than a lot of other people would have made it in a situation they don't like. The glass half empty scenario, you look at this and say, it's only a year and you've only made it 6 months. What are you doing thinking about leaving? So I'm going back and forth on that. Is this enough time to gauge my interest in a subject or an arena? I know for sure I don't like finance, 100%. And I also know I don't like the corporate world. That's a fact. Now, regardless of that, I start thinking, but is 6 months worth it to give back to the people who gave me this opportunity? Have I given them enough of my time to warrant them giving me the opportunity? And as I say that out loud, that seems utterly ridiculous. They gave me a job. They didn't give me life. Job has given me a paycheck and has given me health care. They are not a godsend. I appreciate the initial opportunity, but the fact of the matter is this is not how I want to spend my time. I'm young, life could end at any minute, and this is not for me. So I feel like 6 months is a fair gauge to test the waters, and I feel like it is enough to give to this company. That's it. Now the last consideration, possibly the most important, is money. I got $10,000 when I signed up for this job. If I leave before a full calendar year, 365 days, I have to give $10,000 back. Now, I didn't get $10,000 in my bank account. I got about half of that after taxes. So I didn't just have that sitting around, and it's taken me up until literally 2 or 3 weeks ago to get back up above the 10,000 mark where I can pay back the money and still have a little bit to start on. And if I really think about it, that's a huge factor. $10,000 is more than I ever could have imagined. But to be honest, thinking about paying it back, it doesn't feel like I'm paying back $10,000 of my own money. I can't quite articulate it right now, but it just feels like pushing it back to them. I never took control of it. I've been living on a budget since I started, barely spending any money at all. So $10,000, I don't quite care that much about, but it does open up opportunities in the future. That's the only thing. The only value I see in money, in amount of money like that, is using it as a tool, investing in my business, using it to travel, those two things primarily. And if I think further into it, if I didn't have this job and I took the 2-month trip that I did after college, I would have started in August broke, working some other menial job. So if I quit now, pay back $10,000, and I have $3,226 left in my bank account, it's a lot better of a place than what I would have been. And for me, I don't need much money. I just said that. I live on a budget. I live extremely cheap. So why do I need to be in a job where I'm getting paid $80,000 to $100,000 a year if it means there's more time for me to explore my passions, to grow as a person and an individual. So it's not really about paying back the $10,000. I've crossed that bridge. I'm fine with that. There is still the fear of, if I quit, how am I going to get enough money coming in to fund my life? I figured the number for every month, including rent, is probably like $1,600. I pay $800 in rent, $800 for the rest of my life. Groceries, gas, things like that. I think I can make that. In fact, I just got a job making $15 an hour canvassing neighborhoods for a cleaning company, and doing the math, if I did do 40 hours a week for that would bring in $2,400 a month. That would allow me not only to cover my expenses, but to save $800, $600 a month, which is huge. Again, up until last August, all of college, I was living off of much less, and I was not saving that much. So it's still a step up. And if you add on top of that, I'm not just making $15 an hour. The other value that comes from a schedule in a situation like that is working on other endeavors. I want to make more videos. I want to grow my company Wanderest. I want to write. I want to build. I want to do different things. So the more I think about it, it seems like something I have to do. I'm scared as shit. I got almost emotional earlier, but I figure, what the hell? I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. Who knows, you know? So hold on.